Heyo! Today I am bringing you another one of those incoherent book babbles about Eliza and Her Monsters. I finished this the other day. I read it in 2 days flat. I couldn't put it down. So this book was recently in an Owl Crate, and I actually don't subscribe to Owl Crate anymore because the shipping is insane. But my lovely friend Jess at Between the Lines, I will link her down below because she is fantastic, sent me this book for my birthday after she received it in the Owl Crate and she read it, and then it was my birthday and she was like, I'm gonna buy you Eliza and Her Monsters because it's a really good book and you should read it. So she sent me this for my birthday and I read it in 2 days flat. There we go. I think the fact that I read it in 2 days flat probably says a lot about it. I mean, I read it in definitely under 2 days, but because, you know, I have a full-time job and I was at work, I couldn't sit and read it in one sitting because I have a full-time job and I have to work. If I didn't have a job and have to work, I would have read this in one sitting, absolutely. I was staying up quite late the first day that I was reading it, and Jess was saying to me, like, no, you have to get up for work tomorrow, you need to put it down, because if you read past this certain point, you won't stop. So honestly, trust me, put it down, go to sleep, go to work, finish it tomorrow. So I did trust her advice on that one, and I did do that. And that was about halfway. And then I get an hour lunch at work, right? I read half of this book in my hour lunch break. Like the next day I think at the end of my lunch break I had 16 pages left of this book. So I nearly finished it all in that hour lunch break. So I nearly read from that halfway point to the very end in an hour, which just shows how much I was into this, because I was like eating my salad, not looking at it because I was focused on the book and trying to eat salad at the same time. But this book had all of my attention and I read it super duper quick and I loved it. So there you go. I am not a contemporary person. I don't really read contemporaries. I'm much more into fantasies, sci-fi, magic sort of things. This is not that. This is a contemporary, but it kind of has like an element of fantasy in it because Eliza writes a webcomic called Monstrous Sea, and Monstrous Sea is like a sci-fi fantasy thing set in another world, or on a moon or something, I think, actually, about monsters and crazy stuff. So we've kind of got that sort of sci-fi fantasy slipped in there in the form of something that Eliza writes. So there's that. So although it is a contemporary, we've got that little bit of something slipped in there, but it was definitely a contemporary novel, and I don't really read them. So I was surprised at how much I adored this. Needless to say, I gave it 5 stars. I think anything that I read in under 2 days deserves 5 stars. Unless it's really short, of course, which this isn't, and you know, it's a decent size. But I gave it 5 stars because I enjoyed it. I say this all the time in my book babbles, but for me, reading a book is about the fun I have whilst doing it. If I enjoy the time I'm having, then the book is good in my eyes. It doesn't necessarily have to be something life-changing or world-altering. It doesn't have to be the most original concept in the world ever. If I have a fun time reading it and I enjoy it, if I'm getting entertainment, it's a good book in my books because I read for entertainment. And I was definitely entertained by this. Like, definitely. It's not the most original concept ever. It's not world-changing, life-altering, but I had fun, I enjoyed it, and I couldn't put it down. And the fact that I couldn't put it down really shows how much I loved it and why I think it deserves a 5-star review, because I loved it. So anyway, let's tell you what it's about. This book follows the story of Eliza, who is the author of a world-famous webcomic series, Monstrous Sea. But she writes it anonymously, so no one knows that it's her. She's like ultra famous. She goes by the name of Lady Constellation online. She uploads every Friday, never misses a day, always uploads pages on Friday for her webcomic. She makes lots of money from her merch and stuff. No one knows who she is. Her parents don't really know much about it either because they kind of told her to deal with her own finances, so they don't know how big it's blown up to be. No one really knows how big it's blown up to be other than her fans and her, but no one knows that it's her because she's anonymous. Eliza is in high school. She is 18? I think she's 18. And a new kid joins the school. Typical. New boy is paired with her in homeroom, so she has to like sit next to him in homeroom and show him around and stuff, but she kind of doesn't do that because she's very much to herself, and he doesn't speak to her, so she's like, eh. But it turns out that new boy is a massive fan of Monstrous Sea. So they quickly develop a friendship over Monstrous Sea, but he has no idea that she is the author. And then the story rolls on, and I'm not going to tell you any more about what it's about because that would be major spoilers, wouldn't it? But there, we kind of follow the story of Eliza meeting a fan for the first time, but not knowing, they don't know that it's her. And at this point in her life, she's never met a fan in real life, so, or at least she doesn't think she has, because no one really talks about it at school. And stuff happens, but I'm not going to tell you any more about what it's about. But I really, really enjoyed it, like, a lot. It gets emotional towards the end, you know. I feel like a lot of contemporary books always tend to deal with something emotional happening, whether that's a love story or a family tragedy or some sort of mental illness or something. There's always kind of something heart-jerking, and there was in this, absolutely. I didn't cry. Jess did cry. She told me I would cry and I didn't cry, so I don't know if that shows I'm heartless or if I'm just stronger. I don't know. But I didn't cry, but I did thoroughly enjoy it, and I am not gonna say too much else about what it's about because I don't want to spoil it for you. I've said I gave it 5 stars. The story was fantastic. I read it really quickly. The writing style I felt was really quick and easy to read. As I said, I read half of it in like an hour, so it was really easy to fly through. The writing style is very simple, very quick to get through. And I think it also helps that there is actually quite a lot of like multimedia in here as well. Like we've got little chat logs. Can't find any of them now. Yeah, can't find a single one. Oh, here we go. So we've got like a web page there. We've got comic book little bits from her web comic. We go little chat logs in there. There's emails, little illustrations that she does and stuff. So I think that break up with the multimedia style as well. I mean, it's not as multimedia as something like Illuminae and Gemina. It's not like that multimedia, but it is broken up with little bits of like texts and online chats and web pages and comic strips and stuff. So it is broken up like that, which I think really does help with the pacing of it. And for me, I think it's rare to not have an issue with pacing, but I'm doing really well at the minute, actually. And I didn't have any issues with the pacing of this. As I say, I read it really quickly, so there's that. It's just started raining, so sorry if you can start hearing rain. Anyway, probably going to leave it at that for non-spoilers, because I don't want to ruin the book for you if you haven't read it, but I really enjoyed it. 5 stars, quick, easy to read, fun, had a good time. Multimedia breakup makes it really quick to read. And for someone that doesn't like contemporary, how much I enjoyed this, I think really is a tribute to the book. Like, I don't like contemporary and I like this. But maybe this is the start of a new era for me. Maybe I will start liking contemporary more. I don't know, maybe, we'll see. Anyway, there we go, non-spoilers leaving there. If you have not read this book, now is the time for you to leave. Thanks for being here, give us a thumbs up if you liked it, etc, etc. And I will start talking about spoilers right about now. The romance in this was absolutely adorable, and I loved how the author kind of intertwined their mental struggles and stuff, and how that was complicated, but I thought it was all adorable, and how they kind of like helped bring each other up a bit more, obviously excluding the end with Eliza's moment. And I think that when Eliza was at the bend in the road and she was contemplating it, she decided against it, but she was contemplating it. That was really sort of Walter's fault, because he very much contradicted himself. When Eliza, like after it all blew up and stuff, when Eliza said, you know, I can't finish it, I cannot bring myself to finish the pages, and he was like, it's not difficult, just do it. He really contradicted everything that he had said previously about his stepfather forcing him to do things that he didn't want to do, because why would you do something that doesn't make you happy? And that was something that he really believed in at that point. And then he's forcing Eliza to do something that she doesn't want to do, and that made me really uncomfortable. Sorry, my camera just overheated and loads of vehicles went past, so sorry if you can hear that outdoor noise. The fact that Walter was kind of forcing her to do something that made her unhappy and that she couldn't mentally bring herself to do was really difficult. Like, I was at a point where I was like yelling at the book, like, you're contradicting yourself so much. How do you not realise how miserable this will make her? Do you not care about her at all anymore because she happens to be this famous web author? Like, he was really mad when he found out, and I just don't think he was entitled to be that angry with her. Like, I get that they were like dating and it was a big secret to hide from someone, but at the end of the day it was her secret and she was allowed to be anonymous. And I think he kind of overreacted and didn't need to be that angry with her, but he was, and that led her to that moment, and then he came to help her anyway, and then they kind of fall emotionally on the floor and he's like, for God's sake, Eliza, no, not this, no. And then she kind of clocks that she was about to do exactly what his dad did and how emotionally traumatizing that would have been for him, and then she's apologizing and he's apologizing. And then things become better but are still tense between them. And I very much felt like when their relationship was kind of straining a bit and Eliza was going through her tough time, I was kind of thinking, like, I really hope this doesn't end like Eleanor and Park, because I can't be dealing with that. Please, no, not a rerun of Eleanor and Park. No thank you. But then at the end, when like things were better between them and Eliza was healing and doing well, and she did eventually post the pages and just to finish the book so Walter could get his book deal, and she apologised to her friends that she was ignoring, and she got to know her brothers so much more. And I think like her letting go of her anxiety and her troubles, it wasn't the sort of book where the boy saved all of her problems and falling in love made everything better. It wasn't like that at all, but it was like the support that he gave her encouraged her to do it by herself, which I think is much more realistic. Sometimes just having someone love and care for you like that can give you that push you need to get help yourself. And I know her parents had a big role in that as well, and her brothers, and everyone around her that loved and cared for her really did help give her that push to get the help that she needs. And her healing is just beautiful. And then at the end when he kisses her and says surprise, I was just like, I'm so glad it ended well, because I could not deal with them like parting, because then I would feel like the whole book was for nothing, which is kind of what I got from Eleanor and Park. Like, just the whole thing was for nothing at the end anyway, so like what was the point? But it wasn't like that, which made me really happy. And it was just fluffy and cute, and it made me feel good at the end, and I was happy, and yeah, I feel good. I'm glad I read it. I had a good time, and that's where I'm gonna leave it. So congratulations to this book for giving me a good time with contemporary. Thank you. If I enjoy further contemporaries, you are to thank, which thus means Jess is to thank. Thanks, Jess. If you have enjoyed this incoherent book babble, as they always are slightly incoherent, then please give us a thumbs up, chat to me down in the comments, and if you aren't subscribed and fancy subscribing, I'm always eternally grateful for that. I upload every Sunday and Wednesday and some odd days in between if I'm feeling generous, and I will see you next time. Bye!